Good day to you. Welcome to Westchester Talk Radio, westchestertalkradio.com. I'm John Marino, produced by Sharc Creative. We are made possible by Robeson Oil, the house that service built by Lipolis Electric. Don't be left in the dark. Get Lipolis by Hightower Westchester, managing your wealth to a fiduciary standard. By White Plains Hospital, also by Michael Labriola, landscape design and construction of Armonk, and by Tompkins Mahopac Bank. Here on the Sports Report, we are joined by the fifth of our 5 upcoming inductees to the Westchester Sports Hall of Fame. Wednesday, November 17th, the class of 2021, to be inducted into immortality over at the Glen Island Harbour Club in New Rochelle. And now we are joined by Joan Spedafino. Joan Spedafino, legendary softball coach at Rye Neck High School. Joan Spedafino, first of all, congratulations. Secondly, I see you are decked out in Rye Neck Panthers colors, both with what you are wearing, and you have the logo up on the wall. You're a Sound Shore lifetime native, I guess. You didn't go to Rye Neck High, but you grew up in the area.
I did. I went to Mamaroneck High School, actually. So I am a native, a long-term person. I actually went to Holy Trinity, which is in Mamaroneck, for 8 years, and then fortunately went to Mamaroneck High School, and then went to Pace University, graduated with my education degree. But when I was a senior at Pace, I started coaching at Rye Neck. So I was so fortunate to the next year get a teaching job in Rye Neck, and the rest is history.
So you were coaching softball already at Rye Neck when you were over at Pace?
I was hired to do the JV basketball first. And then in the spring, they asked me to do the softball. And then I coached varsity basketball for over 10 years. So, it's great.
That's your real background, your first sport really, where you started, basketball. And you just didn't start. You set all kinds of records here in Westchester for men and women alike, as it turned out. You're a real trailblazer, no doubt about that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us about your basketball days over at Mamaroneck High School, which, by the way, Rye Neck is within, it's not in Rye, it's within the confines of Mamaroneck, the north end of Mamaroneck off Boston Post Road, right before you get into Rye.
Right. I was really fortunate with all my sports in Mamaroneck. I had great coaches, great people around me. I was a freshman. I made the team, and then the third or fourth game into the season, the varsity coach pulled me up, and the rest is really history. I was on with a great group of girls. Back then, we were in the finals against Mount Vernon at County Center. So that was in the late 70s. And yes, I did hold the boys and girls scoring record for 18 years. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, and this is my grandmother, and I'm quoting my Irish grandmother, when I played, they didn't have the 3-point line. And that's exactly where I always shot.
Yeah. That makes your accomplishment even more amazing at that time.
Right. But,
no 3-point shots at that time.
It was a really great time in my life, and it was very exciting. And, my mother and father and my grandmother were at every game, which was always so special.
You weren't even at that time, just from an offensive standpoint on the court. First of all, what position did you play?
I was the center. You
were the center. And secondly, at that time, the way basketball is today at every level, a center, a power forward, a 4, a 5, have to be able to handle the ball to some extent and to shoot even a 3-point shot here and there. You got to be able to make. Back in those days, longer range shooting was not coached. It was more about getting the ball to the inside to someone like you.
Right. Mm-hmm. And the great thing, the girls that I played with, we all grew up playing against each other in CYO basketball. So it just shows how important the early programs are in sports, to build stronger and, more successful years, throughout high school and everything.
Mm-hmm. You scored 1,182 points, almost 1,200 points during your time over at Mamaroneck High on the basketball court. You were all county for 4 years. You also starred in field hockey too.
I did. I really loved field hockey. It was great.
You were a 3-sport star, an every season star at that time.
Also, I was a pitcher and a first baseman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What was your favorite sport out of the three?
Basketball.
Basketball out of the three.
Because you know what? When I played CYO as a child, my mother was my coach, and my mother passed away 3 years ago, unfortunately. And she was my biggest support, and she was an amazing coach. And I feel like all my skills as a coach and as a player, started with my mother. So, and I really did enjoy basketball. However, as the years have gone on, softball has taken the turn. So,
how tough was it to play for your mother?
Oh, it was easy. My mother was a saint. My mother was wonderful. I mean, my mother was, strict and organized and very, such a positive woman. But it was great.
Did she, my guess is she treated you probably tougher than the other players?
A little bit. I think, there was such respect between us that, yes, you're always a little harder. I coached both of my sons in basketball throughout CYO and travel and everything. And I think you're always a little harder on your own. Does
that give a coach more credibility to the other players when the coach coaches their child at least as tough as, if not tougher than everybody else, that if my kid has to do this, might be a good idea if you do this too?
I think the most important thing with a coach, and my mother was great at it, and I hope I'm just as good as, you never want any player to feel any favoritism or any special treatment. Everyone is equal, no matter the athletic ability or anything. I do that with my teams too. Everyone is just as important as the superstar on your team or the leading scorer or the best pitcher you have. Everyone is equal, because without everyone, you don't have a team.
Mm-hmm. I grew up kind of the same way around the neighborhoods of New York City with my father coaching me, and not only me, but my brother and all my cousins in every sport too. And he had a fine line to navigate to make sure that Johnny Boy wasn't perceived as the favorite. And I remember when our softball or baseball coach at a young age got basically kicked out by the team, and the neighborhood selected my father to be the coach of our team. And I said, I think I'm not going to bat lead off the first week. I did bat last, as it turned out. And I can still remember more than 50 years ago how mad I was as he called the lineup out. Okay, I'm not batting first. I'm not batting second. I'm not going to hit in the middle of the lineup because I'm an on-base guy. Once we got after number 6, I said, he did it. He put me last, and he did. I was back to leading off the following week, but he made his point, obviously.
So, very fair.
No doubt about that. So, all the honors and the accolades you got through the years, as it turned out, you were teaching, you were coaching over at Rye Neck. By 1985, you were over at Rye Neck, and that's where you started to leave your legacy at that time in the mid-'80s. Did you coach basketball too at Rye Neck, as it turned out, or just softball?
No, I actually coached. I was hired to coach JV basketball. That was my initial. And I coached the varsity for over 10 years of basketball. Won a couple of titles. My sister actually was my JV coach, which was so special. I did coach modified field hockey at some point. I did girls soccer, so whatever, when I was younger, whatever they needed me to do, I did also, and I loved coaching.
Doesn't matter the sport, just get out there and coach.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
You were named Coach of the Year by the Daily News one season back there in the 80s when you were coaching basketball too at that time. Girls varsity basketball coach, your overall record was 151-49. You coached more than 100 victories more than losses over 3 years as a basketball coach at Rye Neck League Championship, again named Coach of the Year by the Daily News. 1992, you started the Rye Neck softball skills and pitching clinics for girls grades 2 through 6. Your current softball coaching record, you have more than 540 wins. Do you know the number off the top of your head at the moment?
I do, because my husband's a statistician, so I have everything. Because it's 546 wins and 195 losses.
546 career victories. They've all gone by fast, I guess, right?
Oh, blink of an eye.
What, you're number 4 all-time, 4th winningest coach in the state of New York, girls softball. Which victories stand out the most through the years to you?
I think it has to be in 98 when we went to the we made it to the is it 98? Yeah. We made it to the state finals, but before that, we were to get the section finals. Back then it was a 2 out of 3, and we had played Briarcliff, and you played the first 2 games at the higher seed, so we were at Rye Neck. So we won the first game, we lost the second game, so we had to go to Briarcliff on that following Monday, and we were the home team, but we were losing 12-4. And then just suddenly we came back and we ended up winning 13-12. In the last inning, my pitcher hit a double. And this is a cute story. Before I could get out to hug my pitcher, her mother beat me out to second base, after everyone scored, obviously. So that was one of the ones. And I think another favorite is in 96, my youngest child was born, and I was pregnant throughout the season. Gave birth on May 13th, and we went to the state finals then too. So on the bus ride up here, I had all my girls and my little baby, and the girls were great. And I think it just showed the girls too, how you could do everything as a woman. Yeah. And, it was a joyous occasion. Fortunately, we didn't win, but it was just amazing to get up there.
How tough is it to get up there? You hear stories all the time in every sport. It's
Very
really tough to get there.
Very
so
tough.
Act as if you might never be here again. Make the most of it in every way. How tough is it to get there to the state championship?
The best of the best, and and Rye Neck is an amazing place to coach, but we're a small school, so maybe the 13 girls or 14 on your team, maybe 2 or 3 played travel, or 4, and then you're building that around. When you get up to the States, a lot of the teams, they all play travel, or they're all, sports specific. So, but, we were competitive. I mean, it was an amazing experience.
Does good fortune play a role along the way? Some luck break or two here and there sometimes?
Absolutely. Yeah. And also, my husband and I are great, like fact people, whatever. We won a section champion in class D, C, and B. So I think that's a pretty cool stat.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of luck too. It depends on your enrollment, where you are in the, which leagues you're competing in, the sections. So, there's a lot goes on.
You talked about moving around to the different classes and categories. A lot of people don't understand this, that it's not your choice where you go. You're assigned based by school population every year, and that kind of changes every year for a lot of schools. A lot of what we saw in football this year, teams like Greeley from Chappaqua and Poughkeepsie, who are always much higher, played at a lower level this year, took part in an independent league with the Edgemonts and the Irvingtons and Magnuses and teams like that. All depends upon school population and how many kids are in the school every year. And you get moved around. You could be a AA one year and a C next year, AA being the highest and D the lowest. I've seen that happen. Yeah. Kind of like what happened to the Poughkeepsies and Greeleys of the world of this year in football. So, and you have to roll with the punches with that every year.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And a lot of adjustments being made every year when that happens too, because you have to learn all different teams, all new teams, and so many new players every year when that happens too. Whereas if you're a Mount Vernon or a White Plains, you're always going to be basically a AA, and the same kids, the same sports every year for 4 years, basically.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So coaching, not only coaching, but scouting becomes a big factor in all this too. Yep. Mm-hmm. Joan Spedafino will be inducted into the Westchester Sports Hall of Fame on Wednesday, November 17th. Glen Island Harbour Club in New Rochelle. Joan Spedafino, one of the all-time greatest girls softball coaches in New York State history, ranks 4th all-time in victories, a legendary girls basketball coach also in Westchester and in Section 1-2. In softball, you've won 17 league titles over at Rye Neck and 6 Section 1 championships, like you pointed out, in 3 classes. Does it all become a big blur to you after a while, all the wins and all the success?
No, I think it just brings so much joy. I've coached with my husband now for 27 years, I think it is, yeah. And both of my sons were my assistant at some point. So it's been a real family affair too. As I mentioned before, my son started with me, and then many of my JV coaches modified have been former players, or, so it just kind of comes full circle, and we've maintained so many relationships with our former players, so many weddings we've both gone to, baptisms. My veterinarian is a former player, another police officer. I mean, I'm just so proud of all these girls and the accomplishments off the field. I mean, Frank is great. He tells the girls, we're giving you a doctorate in life. It's not just a softball world, but you become a family and you become a sounding board for each other. And so it is a blur because it's gone so quickly, but it's so wonderful. And I am so humbled about being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I words can't express how honored I am. And I get a little teary, so we'll get used to that on the 17th. But
now you have your husband who works with you and your sons, like you pointed out, you've worked all together with for a while now. You make the final call on everything. I'm sure you get a lot of suggestions, but everything in the end comes through you. Whatever you say goes.
I think I vocalize it at the end. I think there's many people making the final call, and I live in a house with all men except for the dog is a female, thank goodness. So the men have a lot to say, but it's we discuss it. I mean, it's not it's not a dictatorship by all means. It's really, and I'm always open to listening to the girls too. If something is, if they have a question or a suggestion or something, so.
Mm-hmm. Now, here I think is one of the outstanding things about what you've done through the years and what it's all about. You've been named Coach of the Year, selected Coach of the Year 18 times by your coaching peers. 18 times by your coaching peers. I would think that's a record probably in any sport that might stand forever.
Well, again, just, over the years, you develop so many friendships with the coaches and with the umpires and with, everyone involved. And it's really an honor to be recognized like that by your peers. It really is. And I have coached against some amazing people, not just on the field, off the field. And, I don't know if I'm president of the softball Section 1 Association.
Right. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And, that board has worked so hard to, just bring softball up to the next level. So it's really wonderful and an honor, such an honor.
Mm-hmm. And you're also the president of the Mamaroneck Larchmont Athletic Association too. So mm-hmm. you got a lot of hands out there and a lot of different pies with everything you do. No doubt about that. You were inducted into the Mamaroneck Hall of Fame in 2006 and the New York State Softball Hall of Fame. Class of 2021. Did that induction happen yet this year, or is that still to come?
That happened. It was in Herkimer, New York in June. It was beautiful. Mm-hmm. And that was such an honor also.
This is truly an award-winning year for you.
It is. It's
an incomparable year with all the incomparable years and seasons. Yep, a memorable year for Joan Spedafino, no doubt. You formed a family throughout Mamaroneck, throughout the Rye Neck community, throughout the Sound Shore area, through the decades. All these different sports, all the victories, all the kids have gone on to greater accomplishments, and you and everybody who works with you have helped them do that. To young people coming up, and you've worked with thousands through the years, to young people on the way up, what kind of advice do you give them? Because we all know it's not just about wins. It's not just about losses. It's about how you react to those wins, how you react and learn from those losses, and how you apply all of that. And that's, to me, sports is the great equalizer about all this. When people say to you, John, you're so into sports, you act like it's life and death. And you try to tell them it's not just about the numbers. It's not about the wins. It's not about the losses. It's about plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E. What do you impart to all the young people who have come your way through the years and continue to impart to them?
Well, a couple of things. First, I think you need to be in a job and a profession that you love, because you're going to do it a long time, and you want to be able to go to work or to coach and love going, number one. Number two, I think, always putting your best self forward. You put that Rye Neck uniform on, you put any uniform on, you are representing not just yourself, but a whole community. And I just have always instilled that in the girls about representing yourself and your community. And, number three, be passionate, accept a win, accept a loss in the same way. It is, yes, we all know it's great to win, but there have been some major losses in my life, both on and off the field, that you just learn to, learn from it and grow and handle things. So, I hope always that, and the girls all know, sorry about the phone, they have me to reach out to, and it's important to reach out to people that you know can help you. So.
I had to learn, and my father had to teach me this, that you can't win every game, no matter what. That's not possible. There are things to take from the games we don't win and the plays we don't make. And I didn't make all the plays. I admit that too. And that, I think, is one of the keys to life about sports, that you don't win every game, you don't win every situation, but you have to rebound and bounce back for the next time around and every time around after that. And you got to keep that positive attitude and keep it going, because without that, you can't get anywhere.
No, you cannot. You're absolutely right. If you're going to just give up and not be motivated and just not give your best, you might as well not play, because that's not what it's all about.
Give your best every time and let the chips fall where they may.
That's right.
Joan Spedafino, one of the all-time greatest softball coaches in New York State history, 4th all-time in victories, legendary also girls basketball coach in Westchester County, and one of the all-time great girls basketball players, and any type of basketball player, girls and boys combined, in the history of Westchester County and New York State. Joan will be inducted into the Westchester Sports Hall of Fame on November 17th. That's a Wednesday night over at Glen Island Harbour Club in Rochelle. Joan, our congratulations to you. Thank you for joining us here today on Westchester Talk Radio. It'll be an honor for me to be part of your special night that night on November 17th, and we'll see you soon.
All right.
And continued success with the Rye Neck Panthers.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I know, I'm going to guess that maybe some of the girls might get together for next season soon.
Oh, yes. January, we'll be starting our little work.
I thought so. Yep.
Basketball, and I like to let them get going in their basketball season before I, So.
What's the message to the girls now? Happy holidays and be ready to work in January.
Start running and see you soon.
Be working out in your own way now, right? Get ready now in your own way.
No, they're great. They're really great. And so I'm very fortunate to have, such wonderful girls. So.
Joan Spedafino, our thanks to you. Here on Westchester Talk Radio, the Sports Report. I'm John Marino, produced by Sharc Creative, made possible by Robeson Oil, the house that service built by Lipolis Electric. Don't be left in the dark. Get Lipolis by Hightower, Westchester. Managing your wealth through a fiduciary standard by White Plains Hospital, by Michael Labriola, Landscape Design and Construction of Armonk, and by Tompkins Mahopac Bank. Here at Westchester Talk Radio, we have a new app. Download it. It's called Westchester Talk. Take us with you anywhere and everywhere you go and catch all of our programming. Westchester, Rockland, Putnam, Dutchess, Orange, and Fairfield County Talk Radio. It's all on our YouTube channel, Sharc Creative YouTube.